ready, so when we're ready with our power hookup, it's available. The sewer is already hooked up, and hopefully we'll have water soon.
Is there anything that we can do for a temporary water supply in the meantime?
Not really, and to meet the DEQ regulations, that'd be a whole nother process. And there's probably no way of keeping it from freezing. If we had a temporary tank sitting there, it'd probably be more trouble than it's worth.
Question I had, Mike, on the trail center is some of the folks have asked if some of the old furniture is going to be put back in there, and when, and if there was going to be an entry rug as you come in because of that hardwood floor.
Right, and I think we, I don't know if we have an entry rug, but we have all that furniture. That was talked a little bit about, I don't remember where and when, but we were going to put that couch back in there. And some people acted like they really didn't want that. They'd rather have just chairs, and so I'll leave that up to everybody that's going to use it, what they want in there, I guess. Some felt that couch would take up too much room, but we could put one piece of it back in there, I think, and then an area rug and some additional chairs. We have all the chairs, get it to where people could sit down.
I think we also have some tables. I don't know if we were going to put those in there or not.
Well, we could probably put them in there in that, whether you want to set them up or not. Just leave to where if somebody needs them, they could be set up, a few of them. Yeah, that's probably all workable to, I think once you start getting stuff in there, it's not going to look all that big.
As I stated earlier today, Mike, I was up there and I noticed that they hooked up the webcam on both the front and the back. And so that looks like it's ready to go as soon as we get electricity to the building.
It is, yeah, as soon as we get power, it'll be available.
So Mike, we still looking at December 18th then, for the Rocky Mountain Power to get in, or?
Well, that's when the electrician will be up there to set the box back in the meter. And that's if everything ships like it's supposed to, that's what his target date is.
Okay.
And so I'm hoping that all works out. And let's see, I do a walkthrough on Black Beach and Cottonwood at the lake tomorrow for the gravel project. And then they're going to move into the cabin areas, their plan. And I think that's about all the changes there are.
What time are you going to walk through at Black Beach?
We meet out there at 8.
Go ahead, Mike. I had one other question about the Nordic Lodge. As with the exception of furniture, is there anything else we need in the lodge to make it functional?
No, it has heaters and lights. I don't know if they've got all the light fixtures up yet. It came with them, so they have to be hooked up. But they didn't ship them with them installed. But I don't believe there's anything else in there that's going to need anything else. I mean, there's counter space and cupboards and what everybody needs in there. We can get in there, but like I say, it's limited on what you can do with the area. And we've talked about giving keys out to the necessary people that need in there and operate it that way.
I was also, like I said, Mike, I was up there today and they're installing some of those fixtures and whatnot. So they're moving along for the inside of, hooking up the fan and the overhead lights and whatnot.
Good. I probably should mention too, we had that charrette last Friday, and I talked a little bit about it in here, but we did a aerial survey up there for the topo, and I spoke with Worthington Lenhart yesterday. That's almost finished. So that will be going forward to Lyle Murtha to work with, setting that new building into the topo figures and give us some better ideas to where it can really locate.
I have a question on the bridle trail, Mike. Keith Tyler, who's representing the interest group and also the Friends of the Bridle Trail, had a question on who authorized the rocks that were put up, I guess, going in, stopping the trail into Chrisman's place, and I did not have an answer on that.
Well, I did that. We went up to reestablish the fence that was tore out during the fire. And my understanding was we built the new trail and we're going to discontinue using the road. And so I went and put the fence back across where it had been cut. And there was like 3 boulders there already. We pulled those up to discontinue the trail. And I was up there this week, and it's all been disrupted. So the fence is cut, and I don't know what we do about that. Obviously, people still want to go that way, and it's going on to private property. And I was of the impression we were going to, in a lack of a better word, force people to start using the new trail. So I'll take the blame for that.
Great.
I mean,
And I know you mentioned, I think maybe in the last meeting or in conversation, that once spring hits or you can get back up there, you'll be putting up some steps
Right.
on the upper part.
Right.
And I don't know if we plan on putting a railing up on that steep part so people can hang on to that or not.
Well, it'll depend on how those steps go in. I mean, we can obviously add a railing there. I kind of had envisioned about 3 steps in there on a terrace turn, so to speak. Probably 8 by 8 green timber or something that we put in, or treated timber, and then fill it in so you have a decent platform to come down on. I walked that right after it was done, and the sad part is we just haven't had any moisture in that gravel. That base course that's in there just hasn't set up, so it's kind of like marbles under your feet right there. And I had some difficulty there as well coming down. So I think steps would definitely cure that. And I spoke with 71 Construction. They were involved with a lot of those improvements up above the falls. And Steve Lofton told me he'd take a look at doing that.
Okay, thank you.
So is the entry gate to Rotary Park, is it still non-functional, the electric gate, or is it working?
No, it's locked out. We aren't even closing those. They won't work. I mean, they've got their issues, and they've been locked open for some time now. And you can't, once the snow gets in there, you can't really go very far up in there. You can't go into that teardrop. I believe they put the Jersey barriers across that lower loop after that first snow, because it got so slick down in there. So I don't think you can drive down in there, but you can get into that turnaround right now until we get enough snow that, it's going to eliminate that.
So you don't intend to use that gate up there at all?
We haven't been. We had so much trouble with it. It'd open on its own, and it'd stay partially open where cars were hitting it, and it's just really not the right gate for there. If we decide to have a gate in the future, it probably needs to be one that lifts up, vertically, so to speak, and is out of the way versus the 2 swing gates. There's so much mechanism on them. The wind and everything else is raising Cain with them.
I guess my thought is that if we have no way to shut off access, that we are going to have people utilizing that trail pretty much through the winter, snowshoers and such.
Right, well, and they, you know, we haven't ever been able to curtail that, obviously, with snowshoers. I mean, they can get up in there from anywhere or come
Right.
down. And, I mean, obviously, if we decide we're gonna close that off, it's still gonna be potentially accessible by the public if they wanna enter at their own risk. But, at that point, you could shut those gates. I mean, they'll shut and we can lock them shut. We just can't make them work automatically. A number of the neighbors up there have helped us with them when they went on the fritz and, you know, wouldn't open, wouldn't close, and people have monkeyed with them. And they've even tore up the electrical part of them. We've had to have it fixed. And it's wide open. I mean, you really can't protect it because it's set up for the fire department to come up there and get in there if they need to. And, it's just a lot of mechanisms on those gates. There's a lot of moving parts.
Very good. Just sorry to keep jumping around on you, Mike.
That's all right.
With the well water, the water well, is that something that we can still continue to work on as far as putting in the bladder tank in the building? Or are we gonna have to wait until weather clears for that?
Oh, no,
Is that
no,
something
they're in the process of ordering everything and should be up there. He's got one job to finish out of Bates Creek, and I think he's gonna wrap that up Monday. And then it's just a matter, he has to go up and pull the pipe out of the well, pull the pump, put a new pump in, put new pipe in, raise the pipe that's inside the structure we have up there right now. It's a little well house, not really above ground, but so he has to raise the casing up and reseal it. And then there's some electrical work that needs to be done. And then all the new apparatus will go in this building we're gonna put up there. And we have to cut the line to the lodge and to Bear Trap Meadow and reestablish the one to the lodge. Then everything should work. Sounds simple, but it's gonna take a few days.
Yeah, I think getting the water over to the lodge may be the biggest hurdle at this point. Unless you think that pipe, I mean, does that pipe that runs from, or the supply line that runs from the well to the Nordic Lodge, does that meet the DEQ requirements?
It does, however, it's just black plastic pipe, and futuristically, we will probably replace that with, and it's not very deep, and we've had trouble with it freezing under the county road right there at the turn-in. If we don't plow the snow just right there and leave some, that line freezes, and it's just not deep enough. But we're gonna cure that here in the future. And obviously, when we establish the new lodge site, we'll be running some different line to it to begin with, so at that point, we'll probably run a new line all the way to the well.
So, thank you, and I would just like to say, again, that kind of a breath of fresh air. I mean, getting these projects handled with everything else you got going is pretty impressive. So, thank you for taking care of business.
Yeah, it's actually been enjoyable. My wife.
Hey, Dave,
doesn't
I got a
see me,
question. I got a question for you, Dave. I was into Ponderosa the other day, and you seem to have a contact up in that area. There is no wood in there for fire. They've got some scrap wood, but if they plan on building a fire to warm, there is none in there, so you might let the snow gypsies know that they probably ought to load it up.
You're on mute.
Dave, we can't hear you.
Right, that's so you couldn't hear the dogs barking in the background. I haven't been back in there for a while, but I'll get hold of them, and I know they had gone in and stocked some wood but I'm not sure exactly where they put that or anything else in there. So I'll get hold of them and we'll get that. We'll touch base with them because I know they were in there a couple of weeks ago doing some work on different things. So, but yeah, we'll get that taken care of.
Yeah, I think I was in there last week, Dave, and it didn't look like there was much in there except kindling work. Wood.
Inside that shelter, outside, is that what you're talking about, Jim?
Yeah, inside the shelter, right. They have that potbelly stove in there, and they get a little wood in there, but it wouldn't it burn up that quick. It's just kindling work. So I don't know if they planned on putting some logs that they could split in there to use it for heat or not.
I understood they filled that log bin outside that closes up. It's kind of built into the hill there.
Yeah, that metal one, that's where they usually keep everything, is right in there. So that's probably full. But
And I didn't look in it.
yeah,
Okay.
and
We'll talk to them.
they've had that locked from time to time, so I'm not sure where they're at on that right now. But I'll check. We'll touch base with them, see where we're at.
Hopefully not locked.
Another thing else, huh?
Hopefully not locked.
Yeah. So it kind of defeats the purpose of a safety shelter when you
Yeah.
can't heat it up.
I had one more question, Mike, on the new trail center. I know Lyle talked about presenting everything in front of the commissioners. I was wondering if they can't present in front of us first and have more of a public vetting before it gets to the commissioners. Kind of one of the purposes for this group. When they get a little farther down road, not too much farther, I don't think, but
No, right. I don't know why that couldn't happen.
I agree with that 100%, Stuart. That, that's, to me, that's a reason for the Parks Board is to at least have that open setting and hear things out. And I know that hasn't always happened in the past in that order, but I agree with you on this, that Lyle should probably bring it before the Parks Board first and at least let you guys have a good look at it and talk and ask questions and stuff.
yeah, that lodge is going to be the keystone, everything we do on the mountain, and sure be nice if we can have all the public involved in it a little more and see and understand why it is the way we're doing, why we're doing what we're doing there, and the thoughts behind it. Do a little more public vetting, and it should go smoother then for the commissioners.
Mike, another question I have or a statement is, once Joe or Marvin starts grooming up there, just being up there today, there's a lot of foot traffic on what he had groomed the other day. But I know he just did that just to save the snow from melting and whatnot. But there probably needs to be some sort of signage up there saying once the grooming starts, I know it's in our rules and regs, but once the grooming starts, there's no foot traffic on the groomed trails. I know it's A-OK for snowshoes, but it's the foot traffic, the walking, and the running on it that's tearing it up.
Okay, I'll talk to Joe about that.
And I've had a number of calls, and that's why I went up there today, is people were concerned about Elk Creek with the thaw and the freezing that we're having at nighttime and daytime. Past the culvert right there at Parking Lot Hill or Skunk Holler, that water has gone out to close to the road of Struby, where it's all puddled and whatnot. But to me, it's just the backup that's causing the melt and the freeze at nighttime that's causing that. And I walked all the way down on the creek, and it's in a number of places all the way down through there. And then I took a trip on Struby, and it's doing the same thing on that little drainage there. So I don't think there's a concern. It's just what it does when we have this type of weather.
Yeah, it's been warm so long, and then, like you say, at night it freezes up, and that water just keeps moving.
Okay, any other questions for Mike?
I just had another comment about the cleanup at Alcova. I did get to participate in that in a very rotten day.
It was
just
a
to say the
lousy
least.
day.
That was about as rough as they
was.
come. Though there was some serious wind, but I tell you what, there were some folks out there pulling out a lot of stuff. I'd always heard stories about people using engine blocks for anchors, but there was engine blocks, really big ones, and tires and barrels and beer cans from, the 70s, in beautiful shape. A lot of stuff came out of there, and I really want to thank your team, your crew out there for doing all the hard work they did. I know myself and one other gentleman, we pulled about a half a ton out of just one area. I know there's just so much more out there.
Yeah.
Do you really think the water's going to be full back up to normal by January 1st with our
They
flows?
sent a letter out the other day saying it would be.
Wow.
So that comes up faster than it went down.
And there's not much water coming down, so.
So, yeah.
Well, they can take it out of Pathfinder though and fill it up fairly quickly,
They can, yep.
so.
Mike, is it our understanding that they're going to start filling that this weekend?
They're, the 15th, they're gonna start. So,
Tuesday.
unless there's something that, delays that at the dam site, but that's the letter they put out.
So Stuart, there's plenty of time for you to get back up there and get some more stuff.
There is, yeah, it just needs some good weather. Every time we go out there, we pick up something, I tell you. There's an old canoe out there and folded over by the sandy beach. Yeah, we found all kinds of neat things out there. Treasures.
Treasures.
But, the public's been great about picking up a lot of that stuff and throwing away now, so I was proud of the public for doing that. And then you mentioned something about rules and regs here. We have any idea where we are on rules and regs?
Well, we've actually, as you know, gone through the rules, and they need to be presented to the county commissioners for approval. And that's a process in the lawyer's office.
Okay, so we're still waiting there. All right. Dave, they're going to come back to you, buddy.
Yeah, I was afraid of that. Didn't look at them twice.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yeah, you'll have in-depth knowledge, though.
do what?
You'll have the in-depth knowledge, though.
Yeah. Well, at least I'll know how we came up with the answers that we did, and that will help. So, Mike, did they say that they had started the review process on that as far as the timeline, the 45 days, or are they still
No.
waiting on that,
No,
or have you
haven't.
heard?
Haven't heard any of that.
Okay.
I would be surprised. I think it has to come out of the attorney's office, and then they will officially start that. I bet that happens after the new members are sworn in to the board.
I have a feeling you're correct on that because I know how busy the county attorney has been. So,
I think Tina's back with us here. She's been trying to say something.
I'm not sure if you guys could hear me. I was having issues with the computer, so now I'm on my phone. Can you hear me?
Yes, yeah.
Awesome. Thanks. Now I kind of forgot what I was going to say.
You get time to think about it. A few minutes.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Any other questions for Mike? A lot of good discussion there. Let's move to public comments. So, Stuart, since you're sitting there, would you kind of direct public comments? We'll have, if you're wanting to make public comments, just
You guys interested?
state your name and come forward, and
We got one coming up, and Eileen's setting them up.
Speak into the microphone.
Do we have any questions that were sent in
1, 2,
at
1,
all,
2.
Mike, on comments?
No, I do not.
Okay.
so we'll go ahead with public comments. How you doing? Please state your name and let's hear what you have to say.
Doing well, thanks. My name's Andrew Schneider, and I'm a Casper Mountain resident. And wanted to just start with some thank yous. And Mr. Buck, you mentioned this earlier, but I really think, Mike, Mr. Hegler, you should be commended for the transparency. Putting these reports into the minutes and stuff has been really fantastic. And to the county for having these meetings accessible online makes it really convenient for the community up on the mountain to follow along and support the stuff. And I've really heard a lot of folks express that the traction on projects and things moving is really fantastic. So just so you know, you've really been kind of a balm, a salve to the community getting issues addressed. And a couple specifics that have come up in the past meetings, and I can't make every meeting, but do try and follow along, is on the Trail Center redesign process and on public engagement. I know that there are some folks who've missed out on some of the roundtables and design stuff who have said that they would really like to participate. And I also would love to see the designs and kind of follow along on the process. And I think it's one of the reasons I think it's important is just it's such a large venture and it's so new that getting buy-in of all the resident stakeholders really just involves informing us and kind of keeping us along, and that keeps people's noses from getting bent out of shape. So nothing you don't know, but it kind of ties into my next question, which is, in one of your reports, you mentioned that a consultant had been either selected or hired to perform a trail plan process involving wayfinding, I would imagine, and so forth. And I wondered at that time, and would love to know what the process is. I know that there are some residents, myself included, who'd love to support that process and be involved. I personally have 36 years of experience up on the mountain and would love to bring whatever knowledge I can. And I also think the public is really curious about what our opportunities to engage in that is. And then there's one, just on that topic, one thing that I would like to bring up now, which is I'd be interested in seeing that master plan include East End Road and trail access to Ponderosa Park. In the land use plan and a lot of what the county has done over the last 20 years, including the 8 years it took to get the shelter put back up, that's kind of been left out of the inventory. And the connectivity, there's some maybe safety concerns about the snowmobiles going through there because they're crossing. And I think it'd be really nice to see that. It's been such a tradition up there to see it kind of secured, safety signs so that people know that that's a snowmobile trail there in the winter on East End Road, and making sure that you have access all the way down to include that in the master plan. So again, thank you, and thanks for taking
Oh,
comments.
appreciate it. Just for clarity though, we don't manage the snowmobile trails. The state does, so we could work with the state or make these comments to the state about the signing and stuff that needs to go in there. And it's difficult because when we plow our snow off of East End Road, we give it to the state to put on that trail on the south side.
Yep.
And signing is difficult to keep up because of the way we plow. But there's probably some areas that we could, accommodate that. And not to say that we couldn't look at it, as we're looking at trails, in conjunction with the state.
I think that'd be fantastic, and I've been have visited some family in Minnesota around the lakes there, and they have some really great dedicated snowmobile trails that intersect with the roads. They're all kind of tight, but then they comes away from the road.
Sure.
So I think as use increases and safety and collisions do happen from time to time, I think that would really, if we can begin including that in the planning and in the communication, it's a huge asset to the mountain. I mean, that not a lot of communities have that. So getting the word out and then making it safe, I think would be good priorities in that planning process. Thank you.
Hey, Andrew, before you leave,
Yes.
One quick question. So I'm very interested. You said that you followed the meeting progress online. Have you felt that that's adequate, the way it's been presented?
You know, I would participate remotely if that was an opportunity in terms of comment. Just to give you an example, the Casper area MPO had a meeting today. I think they're doing a few meetings about the transit master plan redo, and they were able to have I think it was a Microsoft Teams meeting to actually field public comment. And that would save me about an hour and a half round trip and I would be able to be more engaged. And I think that there are some other folks I've spoken to who don't feel safe driving after dark, and that's why they've said they're not participating in these meetings. So they may be watching and following along and sending you emails and or phone calls, but in terms of these meetings, I would support, you know, even more robust engagement. But I do think it's allowed me to stay engaged and know what's going on and feel like progress has been made.
Thank you for those comments. I really appreciate that. It's good to hear some feedback because we don't get a lot of feedback on this system, and it's been kind of, you know, hit and miss depending on what's going on with the health department guidelines and that kind of thing. But I think that's something that we can definitely look into and pretty easily provide better access. So we'll just have to talk to IT and see. But I appreciate those comments. And then just to add on to what Mike said, you know, the snowmobile, the state does manage that system. And then as part of the master plan project that was done several years ago through a company called KLJ, actually doing the multi-use trails around the mountain. And I'm not sure, I have to check, I'm not sure if that KLJ master plan is available on the website, but I think it is. You just might have to dig for it a little bit, but there's some information in there also regarding the interface between multi-use trails and snowmobile access. But thank you very much for your comments.
You bet.
I see IT over here writing notes, so. Yeah, I think we can get you in contact with folks on the trails piece, too.
Thank you.
Thank you, yeah. Anybody else, public? We have no other comments online or anything?
No.
Okay.
All right, sounds like we'll wrap up public comments. Do we have any board member comments? Let's start with our newest, almost ex-member, Dave.
Well, just changing capacities. I've enjoyed working with you guys for the last couple of years, and I appreciate everything Mike has done since he's taken over the direction of the parks and everything that we have gotten accomplished. I think that we're moving in the right direction. You know, it is nice to see, after talking about so many things for so long, it's nice to see things being done and being done in a positive manner. And I think that's something that we need to keep doing. Just keep moving forward and making our county a better place to come and visit, and a better place for the citizens of the county to go and enjoy the outside. So thanks a lot.
Thank you, Dave. I've enjoyed working with you. You bring a lot of knowledge and experience to this, to our projects, and I've really enjoyed your input, and I hope that you remember us when you become a county commissioner and utilize this board.
Well, I plan on doing that, believe me.
All right, Stuart, do you have anything?
Well, Dave, it's been fun working with you. It was good to get to know you. You've also brought along some more folks and gotten them engaged in this process. So that's been really helpful, and it's been really great for the county. So we appreciate you, and we'll miss you, but we'll be seeing you quite a bit. Let's see. The meeting we had the other day with State Line Number 7, it was very interesting to see the process and where they'd gone and how they'd done it. We've made some very good progress there. I don't know if we'll be able to afford such a thing, but just to listen to the public and how they're using the mountain or how they see it being used moving forward, it's very good for the heart. Sitting on the Parks Board, we don't always get the great comments, but we had some really good ones there, some good learning experiences or opportunities. I look forward to that moving forward. Gosh, we can just hope we can get that guy in and it meets everybody's ideas for what it should be, an all-use recreation center, not just for skiing. Otherwise, it's good to see these other projects, as everybody said, they're all moving forward. A year ago, we sat here and we had almost no movement. And we can go down all these and go, yep, that's moving, that's moving, that's moving. And Mike, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year's. We'll hopefully see you guys in January.
Yeah, thank you. Jim?
Yeah, Dave, acknowledge the same as the rest of the folks have. That thank you for your service and best of luck to you in the next journey. Could be exciting. And like Roy said, please use us. I'm not sure on if, and Mike, you might be able to answer this or not, is if anybody has questions, can they just get online at any time and write a question? I know most of the day you're out and about and in phone contact or out, but if there's a way that the public can ask questions without coming to a meeting on our website, is that a possibility?
They could get on the Parks website and comment, send emails, which we could bring forward.
Okay, great. I just wanted to make that statement. And again, Mike, I continue to thank you for what you have done in this setting, and we're moving forward, and we're getting many comments on the things that we've done well, and a few comments on the things that are still up in the air. So we're moving forward, so that's great. Thank you.
All right.
Ina, you're up.
All right. Dave, thanks. You're doing a great job. Mike. Keep it up. It's refreshing to see things getting done. Mike, Dave, you will be missed. But I know you'll continue to support the county parks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right. Do we have any commissioners sitting in?
We don't.
Nobody today? Okay. Well, Mike, we never give you an opportunity just to talk. So, you have anything you want to say for the good of the order before we end this last meeting of 2020? Thank God 2020 is almost gone.
Oh, I agree with that. It's been a challenging time. We've all had some ups and downs with COVID. I lost a brother-in-law just the last couple of days, and two good friends beside him. And I have a sister in the hospital. But we've all dealt with this thing, and it's been tough on meetings. It's been tough on emotions, but we've gotten through it. We've gotten a lot done, and I've enjoyed working with all of you folks. And I'll probably continue to work with Dave as a commissioner. But no, it's been challenging at times. A lot on my plate to start off with, but I feel we've made a lot of progress, and I'm glad the weather hasn't been difficult with snow, because that sure would have messed up that lodge where we are today. But I think we've made it over the hump, I hope.
Do we have another comment? Okay, so I would just like to throw out, mostly for public listeners, that we're working through the beginning stages of this Nordic Lodge project. We've gone through two kind of small group charrettes to kind of identify needs and priorities for the new structure, like Stuart said. Talking about a facility that's kind of the linchpin of that the mountain. When you go up, it's usually the first thing you see, and we've got a lot that can happen there. The problem, of course, we'll run into is funding this project, and we may be looking as with some of the ideas that are out there as high as $2.5 million, and that's doable, but it's going to require some work and a lot of backing from the community. We're going to have the community involved in this project. I love Stuart's comment about having Lyle Murtha come in and present this to the Parks Board, where the community actually has an opportunity to come in and see what's going on and do some just, relatively unofficial comments so that we can get some more input. I feel like that's important to get all the different stakeholders' input as we go through the process, and that's what we're here for. So good comments here, Stuart. And but we need to start thinking about how we're going to fund this deal, and obviously the county's not going to be able to foot the whole bill, so we're going to have to go with a public-private partnership and start working with the community to figure out how to get this guy built in a reasonable amount of time. So I just want to say, lastly, thank all of you for your work this year. This has been just an incredibly complicated and sometimes frustrating year, but I feel like we've actually made some progress. And I don't know if I've been able to see that in years past, but I feel like we've made some progress. We're moving forward. I feel very, very positive about what can happen this next year. And just thank you all for your hard work, and let's just get motoring. Yeah, he's got the gavel. So with that, do we have a motion?
Make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
Yeah, we have a motion to adjourn, so I don't think we need to vote on that. So, Stuart, you want to do it?
There you go.
Meeting?
Good job, Stuart.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you, Roy,
everybody.
for your leadership.
Thanks, Roy. Yep.
Yep. Thank you, Roy.